Every mythology has a god who breaks things on purpose, and without them, the entire cosmos would have collapsed into stagnation 1,000 years ago. But here's what nobody talks about. These gods don't get temples. They get warnings. Hero gods get marble statues and annual festivals. Tricksters get footnotes and nervous laughter. Loki gets bound beneath the earth with his own son's entrails twisted into chains, venom dripping onto his face until Ragnarok. Anansi, who literally stole stories from the sky god and gave them to humanity, gets turned into cute children's tales about a clever spider. Coyote, who shaped the landscape and taught survival, becomes a cartoon character failing to catch a roadrunner. The pattern is too deliberate to ignore. West Africa has Anansi and Elegba. The Norse have Loki. Native American traditions have Coyote and Raven. Japan has Sursanu. Every single culture, across every continent, has one of these figures. And every single culture also tries to soften them, sanitize them, push them to the margins. Which means they're threatening something. You don't spend centuries trying to forget a god unless the god reveals something you desperately want to keep hidden. The consistency isn't coincidence. These aren't villains who snuck into sacred texts. They're necessary. Structurally, cosmically necessary. And the fact that we've been taught to dismiss them as chaos agents and troublemakers? That's the first real clue that we need to pay attention. Here's what they're actually doing, stopping the cosmos from calcifying into something brittle and dead. Loki shows up to Aegir's feast and insults every god in the hall. He calls out their affairs, their cowardice, their failures. And yeah, it's ugly. But this is right before Ragnarok. The system was already rotting from the inside. Someone had to say it out loud. Anansi steals stories from the sky god Niamh, who's been hoarding them like a dragon on gold. Knowledge locked away isn't knowledge, it's just power keeping itself safe. Anansi breaks the vault. He scatters the stories to everyone, which is the only way they stay alive. Coyote releases the salmon so people can eat. He scatters the stars so you can navigate at night. He breaks the dams because sometimes the water needs to go where it wasn't supposed to go. He makes the world livable by making it chaotic. And Elegba stands at the crossroads because choice itself is destabilizing. Every decision is a break from the pattern. Without him, you're just walking the same circle forever, worn smooth by repetition. They're not evil. They're evolutionary pressure in divine form. They ensure that nothing, no order, no lore, no king, gets comfortable enough to become permanent. Because the moment it does, it stops serving life. And then it has to break. Loki walks into a feast and proceeds to destroy everyone there. Not with lies, with the truth. Odin broke his oaths. Freyr slept with half the pantheon. Tyr's missing hand wasn't exactly an accident. Every single god at that table is compromised, and Loki just says it out loud. The crime isn't that he's wrong. It's that he won't shut up about it. So they bind him. Chain him to a rock with his son's entrails, venom dripping onto his face until the end of the world. They call it justice, but honestly, it's just silencing the one god who refuses to pretend everything's fine. And his children, Fenrir, the wolf who'll swallow the sun. Jormungandr, the serpent wrapped around the world. Hell, ruling the realm of the dishonored dead. These aren't random monsters. They are literally everything the gods fear most. Which tracks, because Loki is what they refuse to face about themselves. The shadow they won't integrate. Here's the thing about Ragnarok, though, it doesn't happen because chaos exists. It happens because they tried to chain it down. They could have worked with the disruption, let the truth burn through and renew things. Instead they bound it, buried it, pretended order could last forever. And the world ends anyway. Just with more suffering first. Anansi doesn't steal stories for himself. That's the part people miss. He bargains with the sky god, pays the price, wasps, leopard, python, the whole terrifying collection, and then he takes those stories and releases them into the world. His not hoarding knowledge. His breaking a monopoly. Before Anansi, all stories belonged to Niamh, locked away in the sky. After Anansi, they belong to everyone. That's not theft. That's redistribution. Coyote does the same thing, just louder. He steals fire. He frees salmon from the dam where some greedy spirit's been hoarding them. He tears open the bag of wind. And here's what makes it devastating. Coyote is older than the hero gods. Chaos predates order. The Trickster was here first, which means the universe didn't start with rules and harmony. It started with disruption, and everything else came after. Both of them go after authority figures who've gotten too comfortable. Sky gods. Salmon hoarders. Anyone gatekeeping resources that should flow freely. The lesson isn't a don't steal. The lesson is, if something essential is locked up, someone has to break the lock. And yeah, the method's going to be messy. It's going to look wrong to people who benefit from the hoarding. But these figures are beloved in their cultures for a reason. People recognize, instinctively, that power needs opposition. That the ones in charge need someone willing to say no, or better yet, willing to just take what was never theirs to keep in the first place. Elegba stands at the crossroads. Except that's not quite right. He doesn't stand at the crossroads, he is the crossroads. That exact moment when everything could split 100 different ways and you've got to choose one. He's the living embodiment of decision itself, the point where potential becomes real. In Yoruba tradition, you honor Elegba first. Always first. Before any other deity gets a word. Because without him, nothing moves. Your prayers don't reach the gods. Your offerings sit there, inert. He's the interpreter, the opener of ways, the one who decides what gets through and what doesn't. And yeah, he's a trickster, but his tricks aren't petty. They're not about chaos for chaos's sake. They're tests. Can you adapt? Can you pivot when the ground shifts? Because that's what's coming, whether you're ready or not. Elegba represents something we spend our whole lives trying to avoid. You cannot control the outcome. You can only control how you meet it. How you stand at your own crossroads. And here's the thing about tricksters that we keep missing. They don't break things randomly. They break the things that were already cracking. The structures that looked solid but were held together by habit and fear. They're not destroyers. They're revealers. And sometimes what they reveal is that the path you were on was never going to hold. We're living in systems that don't work anymore but won't let themselves be dismantled. Sound familiar? The job that demands everything and gives nothing back. The institutions that pretend progress while reinforcing the same tired hierarchies. The cultural scripts that promise fulfillment if you just follow the rules, except the rules were written by people who died before your grandparents were born. The trickster doesn't wait for permission to change things, which is why every rigid structure fears them. You can't control what you can't predict, and you can't predict someone who refuses to play the game as written. Loki at the feast, Anansi in the court, Coyote at the boundary of what's allowed. They're not asking for a seat at the table. They're flipping the table and suggesting maybe we didn't need it in the first place. Here's the thing people get wrong about chaos. It's not the opposite of order. It's the thing that keeps order from becoming a tomb. Chaos is the crack that lets the light in, the glitch that reveals the pattern, the breakdown that was actually a breakthrough in disguise. You've felt this. The job that fell apart right before the better offer came through. The relationship that ended right before you outgrew it. The plan that collapsed precisely when staying on course would have destroyed you. In the moment, it felt like disaster. Looking back, it felt like mercy. The trickster gods aren't cautionary tales. They're blueprints for how to survive when the old world won't die on its own. They're proof that sometimes the only way forward is sideways. That the rules aren't sacred, they're just old. That disruption isn't destruction, it's revelation. The next time something in your life falls apart for no reason, consider this. Maybe it wasn't falling apart at all. Maybe something was making space. Follow Blackfire Atelier. I'll see you in the shadows.